If you are looking for bets for UFC Qatar, look no further. How we doing, everybody? My name is Young Pasty, a.k.a. the whitest in the land. Look at that white skin. Yep. And I am here today to give you all of my official bets for UFC Qatar. I got 4 bangers coming your way today. UFC Qatar starts early, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So you want to make sure you get your bets in before the card starts, preferably the night before, all right? Because right before the card starts, odds go crazy, right? You want to have your bets in at a good number, all right? So just a reminder, early start time, 10 a.m. Eastern for UFC Qatar. Now, as we always do, we have to recap last week, UFC 322. I'm pulling the results up here right now, and look at that. Another profitable week. You know what that means. Every time we have a profitable week, we pull out the gloves, okay? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Plus 1.4018 units. Let's freaking go. That's 3 straight weeks of profit. Bet number 2, smacks. Okay, Valentina Shevchenko. I told you guys, okay? She's the champ for a reason. Weili moving up in weight. I mean, it was as anticipated, right? Bet number 3, the 3-pick parlay of the week. Smacks and Perez with a nice KO. Daukaus with a crazy submission. And then the over 2.5 in the Shevchenko versus Weili was just an easy leg. So bet number 3, smacks. And then bet number 4, Michael Morales. Our underdog play coming through at plus 125. Very, very nice. Now, the 2 losses. Beneil Dariush, I mean, gosh, the chin's gone. At least, you know, it got stopped early, right? We didn't have to sweat out a decision, you know what I mean? Got that one out of the way. It was a loss pretty quick. And then bet number 1, Malcolm Wellmaker. The surprise loss, the parlay buster last week. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not too mad about it because we did end up with profit for the week. Blanchfield smacked, and I told you guys that was my most confident fighter on the card. It was just a matter of who I was going to pair her up with. Dang. Ethan Ewing, you know, shout out to you. Even though you killed bet number 1 last week, you look damn good. Somebody to look out for in the bantamweight division. And you know, I'm not going to knock Malcolm Wellmaker for that because it's a tough fight for both of these guys. You know, 48 hours notice. Big stage in Madison Square Garden for both of them. You know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, for UFC 322, we profit 1.4018 units. Let's freaking go. Again, like I said, 3 straight weeks of profit. Let's make it 4 straight weeks of profit with UFC Qatar. All right? I have 4 bangers coming your way today. We sort these bets in confidence. So bet number 1 is always my most confident bet of the week, and then it goes on down from there. All right? So let's get to it. Bet number 1, my most confident play of the week for UFC Qatar. We are rolling with Ian Garry plus over 1.5 rounds in the fight. Minus 175. We're putting 2.75 units on it. I've never went against my boy Ian Garry, and I'm not going to do it here. And in my honest, humble opinion, I think this is an easier fight than his last 2 fights. He just fought Shavkat and Carlos Prates. 2 killers. Almost submitted Shavkat and gave him a tough-ass fight. Beat Carlos Prates. Right? Now you're going up against a Belal Muhammad who is smaller than Ian Garry. I don't think Belal Muhammad's his wrestling is going to be able to get going. Ian Garry's very smart, right? He'll be able to fend off the takedowns. And he's honestly the much better striker, in my opinion. I mean, I don't see Belal being able to close distance. I think he gets picked apart at range, and Ian Garry uses the fence and cage push and fends off the takedowns and the wrestling from Belal. It really puts on a masterclass performance. I don't see either of these guys getting finished at all. Like, I mean, if you look back on all these guys' prior fights, these guys are decision fighters, with the exception of a couple finishes, right? These guys are decision fighters. Belal, we just saw, is tough as hell, went 5 rounds of freaking JDM getting his butt whooped. And then Ian Garry going 5 rounds with Shavkat, going 5 rounds with Carlos Prates, and then so on and so forth with other people in the past. So, Ian Garry, I mean, when I saw this card, I was like, oh man, going up against Belal, yeah, that's definitely going to be my number 1 bet of the week. And I'm backing my boy again, Ian Garry, plus over 1.5 rounds, minus 175. We're putting 2.75 units on it. That is my most confident bet of the week. Let's freaking go. All right, moving on to bet number 2. Little 2-pick parlay, okay? Very fitting for bet number 2. We are rolling with Asu Almabayev and Luke Riley. Plus 109. We are putting 1.5 units on it. Let's go over each fighter. Asu Almabayev taking on Alex Perez. I think Asu Almabayev has shown that he can get takedowns in the UFC. Alex Perez gets taken down in the UFC. He's 1-4 in his last 5, right? Asu Almabayev has a much better record than Alex Perez. Asu Almabayev isn't used to losing. Only loss in the UFC is coming to Manel Kape, and he just wasn't able to secure takedowns. But he will be able to secure takedowns here over Alex Perez. Alex Perez, I mean, lots of injuries in the past, getting taken down by all of these fighters that he's going up against, getting submitted by these fighters that he's going up against. I wouldn't be surprised if Asu Almabayev gets a submission win here, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think Asu Almabayev gets a decision win. I think he just holds down Alex Perez and is just able to win minutes on the ground. And then Luke Riley going up against Bogdan Grad. Both dogs, okay? I'll just say that straight up. But Luke Riley, I know he's making his UFC debut. I know it's in the Middle East. I know it's kind of a tougher kind of UFC debut for him, but I really think he shines and puts on because Bogdan Grad comes in too recklessly, right? Is very hittable. Luke Riley has some clean striking, some sharp boxing. I don't think Bogdan Grad's going to be, wrestling too much, grappling too much, trying to push him up against the cage. They both said they wanted to go to war, right? And we've seen Bogdan Grad go to war with like Michael Aswell, who was just a straight up striker, right? Doesn't really wrestle or grapple too much. And I think we see somewhat of the same here, and I think Luke Riley just gets the better of the exchanges. It hits him more, has more volume. I'm not worried about the chin. We've seen Riley take some huge shots, almost, is knocking on death's door, right, and is able to recover. So I got both of these guys. Asu Almabayev, Luke Riley, plus 109. We're putting 1.5 units on it. That is bet number 2 of the week. Let's go. Okay, moving on to bet number 3. You know what it is, the 3-pick parlay of the week. We find 3 good legs, put them all together to get a good number. Now, if you're new around here or if you have not, please click that subscribe button down there. We are on the road to 400 subscribers. I just hit 359 the other day here. So we're close, right? We're 40 away. So if you could, please click that button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, I give free picks, predictions, and bets every single week. So the least you could do for me is click that button, okay? Please. Now, the 3-pick parlay of the week. We have Arman Tsarukyan over 1.5 in the Tagir versus Horiguchi fight. And then lastly, Aliev. Minus 108. We're putting 1.25 units on it. We'll go over each leg here. Arman Tsarukyan is going to handle Dan Hooker, okay? He's going to get him on the mat, and he's either going to get a submission win, he's going to get a ground and pound win, or he's just going to beat the crap out of Dan Hooker for 5 rounds, right? No matter what it is, though, Arman Tsarukyan will take down Dan Hooker, and he will beat him by getting him down to the mat, one way or another. Next, over 1.5 rounds in the Tagir versus Horiguchi fight. Both of these guys are experienced. Both of these guys are vets. They may be a little bit chinny at times, right? But I don't see either of them getting a finish on each other until the later stages of the fight. We've seen Tagir go to decision multiple times in the UFC. Horiguchi, same thing throughout his career, right? Multiple times where he's going to decision too. So all I'm asking for is the fight to go over 7.5 minutes, right? At that point, hopefully Tagir Ulanbekov gets the win from there. But all I'm asking for this particular bet, over 1.5 rounds for that fight. And then lastly, Aliev. He's taking on Shamrock. Shamrock also making his UFC debut. Aliev is just a much better grappler. These guys really aren't the best at striking, right? I guess I would give the slight edge to striking in Shamrock, but really it's just because of his length and his kicks, right? He's just a little bit longer. But primarily a grappler, Shamrock is, and most of his submissions, you'll see it if you go rewatch his fights. He's taking the back, and he's taking the back of people who are standing up, and they just look stupid. They don't know what to do with his grappling. Like Aliev, he knows what he's doing in the grappling department. Okay, he's got that Dagestani wrestling kind of style, and he's not stupid. He really isn't, right? He got locked up in a really, really tight gilly here in the past, able to work his way back out and hold top position. In his fight versus Joe Solecki, wins the first 2 rounds handedly. Third round, goes to Joe Solecki, but he knew he banked 2 rounds, right? Was just striking with him, preserving energy. Didn't really lose the fight or lose the round too bad, right? It was actually pretty close. But Naurdiev Aliev is going to win this fight by taking Shamrock down and holding him down on the ground. Probably by a decision win here. No, maybe the same thing might happen in the third round where Aliev gets a little bit tired, right? And maybe is there to strike with him. But really, he just needs to land 1 takedown in every single round, and he's holding down Shamrock, I guarantee you. So, Tsarukyan, over 1.5 in the Tagir versus Horiguchi fight. And then lastly, Naurdiev Aliev, minus 108. We're putting 1.25 units on it. That is bet number 3 of the week. Let's go. All right, moving on to bet number 4. We are rolling with Saygid and Ulanbekov, minus 106. We're putting 1.25 units on it. Khabib's boys, okay? Both of these guys are training with Khabib. And you know what? Khabib don't accept losses, okay? And if you do lose, he's gonna beat the crap out of you when you get back home, right? So you don't want to lose. Now, Saygid, he's taking on Nicholas Dalby. Saygid is making his UFC debut from a different organization, has lots of wins and lots of experience. Now, you would say, well, I mean, the curse of people making their UFC debut from a different organization, right? Like Bellator, PFL, etc. A lot of those guys have been losing lately, right? Nah, not here, man. Now, the exception to this is if you're training with freaking Khabib, right? And you're going up against an older Nicholas Dalby, just got chinned here recently, and it was a brutal knockout too, right? Where he fell flat on his dang face. And a quick turnaround from that, in my opinion. 6 months, 4 or 6 months. Give yourself a little more time to recover after getting knocked the hell out. But anyway, Saygid will win the fight by securing takedowns and either winning minutes on the ground or probably finding a KO on the mat. Getting Dalby in a position where he's just throwing bombs on him on the ground, and Dalby really can't defend himself. And then my second leg, Ulanbekov taking on Horiguchi here. Now, I will say this. Horiguchi will be a victim to the curse of coming over from different organizations. I will say that. Ulanbekov, okay, he's one of Khabib's boys. Multiple wins in the UFC. I would say probably facing a little bit better competition because when you look at Horiguchi's wins in hindsight, right, these people aren't really performing the best. The people in those organizations aren't of the level in the people in the UFC. And they're just not setting him up with an easier type of fight, right, for his UFC debut. You're going to tell me Tagir Ulanbekov, an OV, fighting in the Middle East, training with Khabib, is going to lose to Horiguchi? Nah, man, it's not going to happen. If it goes to decision, it's going to be a robbery in Ulanbekov's way, right? If things are close. So, I mean, they're going to give the nod to him. They really are. So, Saygid and Ulanbekov, minus 106. We're putting 1.25 units on it. That is bet number 4 of the week. Let's go. All right, moving on to our next section here. This is bet number 5, potentially, okay? I have a couple of people I'm looking at, and they may hit the spot of bet number 5, but I need to see the weigh-ins. I do, okay? Because that will really determine what side I'm going to pick. These are the 2 people I'm looking at. So first is Shamil Gaziev and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Now, I will say this right off the bat, okay? I suck at picking Waldo fights. I get all of them wrong. Whether he wins or loses, I can't pick Waldo fights. So it may be a plus for you, right? You see my bet. Maybe just fade that one. But like I kind of said before, I think I'm done betting on Waldo fights. So I'm going to look at weigh-ins for the Gaziev and Waldo fight, but we'll see. And then the second one is the Ismail Naurdiev and Ryan Loder fight. I really want to see weigh-ins on this because depending on how thick and bigger and physical Naurdiev looks versus Loder, I may even pick flip over to the Naurdiev side. Because if Ryan Loder's not, looking in the best shape, is a lot skinnier than I anticipate over Naurdiev, he might not be able to secure these takedowns. He really might not be able to, and that's his whole game, is wrestling and getting people down to the ground. And if he's not able to secure those and is forced to strike with Naurdiev, I don't think he's going to win that. I really don't. So I need to see the weigh-ins. If I look at them face to face, I go, okay, I think Ryan Loder can probably get Naurdiev down. Then I'm probably going to put a small little bet in on Ryan Loder. Now, if I look at that fight and I go, man, I don't think Ryan Loder is going to be able to take Naurdiev down. I think Naurdiev's going to stuff the takedowns. I think he looks very physical, very thick. Wide hips, thick thighs, right? Just attributes to give yourself, an advantage with the takedowns. Then I might just pass on the fight because, again, Ryan Loder's a takedown or bust, in my opinion. If he's not securing takedowns, Naurdiev's going to beat him on the feet for sure. So I'm just looking at those fighters, Gaziev and Loder. I need to see the weigh-ins, which are actually later tonight. So I will have a decision on these at some point. If I do make any updates to the bets, guys, you will see them in the pinned comment. You will see them on my Patreon, which is free. Okay, links in the description. I put all my bets out there actually before this video comes out. So, and then lastly, on my Twitter. Okay, so bet number 5, and then maybe potentially bet number 6 if I like both of these guys, is to be determined. So let's go. All right, guys, those are all the official bets for UFC Qatar. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your support. Go ahead and drop a like on the video, comment if you can, and then please click that subscribe button. We are on the road to 400 subscribers. Just hit 359 the other day, so we're like 41 away. I'd really appreciate it if you could do that for me. Secondly, Patreon is free. Link is in the description. That's where I post all my bets when I place them. That's when you can get these odds when they're good, right? In the video here, they might not be the same when you go to bet them because I bet these things earlier in the week so you can get the odds when they're good because they always sway in the opposite way. Come fight time, I'm usually ahead of the odds on all my bets. So yeah, it's free. Links in the description. Let's have a good week this week for UFC Qatar. Let's make this 4 straight weeks of profit. Young Pasty, the whitest in the land, the white pirate. Yeah, I just made that one up. Out. Let's go.